of them. What happened between infancy and adulthood for those people? Handling. Look at Bill Gates. A lot of you said, oh, I want Bill Gates. What happened between this child and this adult that he has become? What happened between R. Kelly and the R. Kelly who is in prison right now? What happened to Hush Puppy and the Hush Puppy who is in prison? Handling. No child was born bad. They become bad by a number of factors that could have been prevented with the right system. How were they raised? Now, the question would be, the children that you are raising right now, how are you raising them? The child came on a clean slate. The environment that child is growing up in, the upbringing that you're giving that child, and some significant emotional experiences of that child would shape who the child will be in the future. Now, this child, R. Kelly, no way that anyone could have thought that he would turn out to be, yes, an amazing singer, but right now he's in jail because of all the things that happened in his life. Look at Bill Gates and look at all that he's doing for the world right now. There's another child, Hush Puppy. So the question would be, how are you handling your child? And based on the way you're handling your child right now, how is that child going to turn out in another 20 years? We usually will say in parenting that parenting is an 18-year curriculum. What you begin to see from age 19 is your report card. So if your child is above 19 right now, and you're not comfortable with what you're seeing, it's the report card of what is being done. A lot of parents will say, but I tried. I have 3 kids. I raised them in the way of the Lord. I raised them the same way. Oh, yes, you cannot raise every child the same way because they are not the same thing, but I will get there soon. What is our philosophy about a child? And for you to be able to answer this question, you would have to answer these other 3 questions. Who taught you about parenting? Go into the chat room and tell me, who taught you everything you know about parenting? I want somebody in the chat room, just let's talk. Who taught you about parenting? And in whose culture were you taught? So, okay, someone says, I discovered myself. Molufunke says, my mother. Fantastic. Okay, myself, my parents, nobody learned from my parents, no one. So imagine, for people who say, oh, he was my parent, who taught you about parenting? Your parents. Who taught your parents about parenting? Their own parents. Who taught their parents' parents? So their parents. So someone in the 19th century or the 17th century taught you about parenting for a 21st century child. Some people will say, oh, I learned it myself. Do you have a template of doing it? It's like you are trying to cook a meal that you have never cooked before and you did not learn how to do it. How well do you think that meal will come out when you have not learned the how? Because there is a how to parent, especially in the 21st century. So in whose culture are you taught parenting? So for people who said, oh, I learned parenting from my parents. So if you're a Yoruba person, you have likely taught parenting from a Yoruba culture, and Yoruba believes that omolasho. So it means that a child is a cloth. I don't know what the Igbo believes about a child. And because you say omolasho, it means that for anyone who doesn't have a child, the person is likely naked. Because if you're saying a child is the cloth, it means that without a child, you are naked, you don't have clothes. And with that, you begin to put pressure on the children. You want them to do well in life because they are the clothes that you think will cover you eventually. So you see that how we're taught parenting in the culture we're taught parenting would affect our philosophy about who a child is. And the next question would be that what has been the report card of the culture that taught you parenting? So if you are learning with the Yoruba culture, or you are learning with the Igbo culture, or you are learning with the Hausa culture, the question will be that what world innovator or what world leader, who is someone that our culture has produced that you would say, oh, we're proud of, and to say, I am also modeling this and I'm raising my child? Because how you see a child will determine how you parent that child. If you see a child as someone who will cover you, right, it means that you are just thinking, let this guy just go to school. You must do well in school so that you are able to get a good job. And when you get a good job, you're able to begin to take care of me and blah, 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 blah. Your philosophy about who a child is will determine how you are parenting that child. Someone is saying, I can't hear you. Please check your audio. I'm not sure it's from me. Just check your audio, except every other person is having the same issue. Now, welcome to the new rules of parenting. And that's what we're here to talk about today. You know, at Fowowe International, we have carefully put a class together to say people need to get parenting right. Every child that is sent into the world is sent as a solution to a problem. But the question is, will the child that is being sent to your family, will the child ever come out to become the best version of themselves? Will they be able to solve the problem of the world that they were created to? Parenting is a science that can be taught and mastered if we open our minds to deploy the best strategy that delivers the desired result. And that is why I want everybody on this call. This is a webinar that I'm excited about. But after now, parenting is a journey. It's not just, oh, I have read one book. Oh, I read 2 books. Oh, I have joined this webinar. It is not enough. It is a long life journey. You need to keep learning. And that is why I would want everyone on this call after this webinar to ensure that you sign up for the new rules of parenting class, because it would bless you. It's just 4 weeks, amazing classes. You're able to understand the different personalities of your children, and you're able to script that child for success. You know, recently, not recently, a while back, I watched a video on how the suicide bombers, how they recruit suicide bombers. And, you know, they will go to villages, get children. Can you imagine how it is for them to be able to recruit children, train these children, and tell these children to go blow up themselves, and they do? How come you are not able to script your children? It means that if evil can be scripted, good can also be scripted. If you agree with that statement, please go into the chat room and let me know. If evil can be scripted, it means that good can be scripted. But the question is, are we detailed enough? Are we intentional enough to be able to put in the level of work that they put in? All they do is gather these children, put them in a place, and begin to teach them, so much that a child desires to go and die and blow up himself. We are not saying our children should go and die. We're not saying our children should go blow up themselves. We want these children to live. So it means that if evil has been successfully scripted before now, it means that good can also be scripted. It means that we can also script our children to turn out well. But the question is, are we putting in the work? Do we even know what the child should end up being? Have we observed the potential that this child carries? So who is a parent? Is it a sperm donor? Is it someone that can beat, someone that can shout, someone that can carry pregnancy, someone that can do Bible study, somebody that can pay school fees? Who is a parent? Follow me carefully. A parent is someone who can bring forth. The ultimate parent now is that parent that is able to spot the identity of the arrow in its quiver and intentionally groom and shoot in the direction of a predetermined target in a way that the arrow consistently solves the problem it was designed to solve in service to God and humanity. Now, I want to take a look at yourself and ask yourself, am I an ultimate parent? But before you ask yourself that question, let me break this down for you. The ultimate parent is that parent that is able to spot the identity of the arrow in its quiver. So it means that there are different types of arrows, yeah? Do you think that the same arrow you want to use to kill maybe a squirrel or a deer, would it be the same arrow you're going to use to kill an elephant with a stronger or tougher skin? If it is a yes or a no, go into the chat room and let me know. What kind of arrow do you think is the same type of arrow? Now, depending on the kind of animal you're trying to kill, or you're trying to hunt down, that would determine the kind of arrow that you would use. So we all agree that. So the ultimate parent is that parent that is able to spot the identity of the arrow. So it means that when you have 3 children, you cannot say A, B, C. Your child 1, 2, and 3 are the same. No, they are not. They are seeds. Your number 1 child can be a cocoa seed. Your number 2 child can be maize seed. Your number 3 child can be rice seed. You cannot handle them the same way. And you're not allowed to be comparing. Oh, see, look at your brother. Oh, see, look at your sister. No, they are not. But the question is, as a parent, have you even been able to identify the kind of seed that you have? Have you been able to identify the kind of arrow that you have in your quiver? Because until you identify the type of arrow that you have, you know, if the arrow you have is to kill a deer, and you did not know, you are not aware of the kind of arrow that you have, and you are attempting to kill an elephant, it means that you want to die. right? So you have been able to spot the identity of the arrow in your quiver and intentionally groom and shoot in a direction of a predetermined target. It means that you are intentional. You know the how. If I give a bow and a arrow to any of the parents here now, how many of you can use one? You will not be able to use that arrow unless you have learned the how. So number one, there's an identifying of the type of arrow that I have. So say this type of arrow, what can I use it for? Can it go far? Is it one that, is just used for short distance? Is it sharp enough to enter into a thick skin? Or can I only use it for animals with really light skin? You need, and that's why parenting, you have to be intentional about this. Who is a parent? The ultimate parent is that parent that is able to spot the identity of the arrow in his quiver. Have you spotted the identity of the child that you have? And intentionally groom and shoot in a direction of a predetermined target. It means that when you have the arrow and the bow, you're not just shooting everywhere. You are targeting what you are trying to kill. You are targeting the animal you're trying to take down, in a way that the arrow consistently solves the problem, meaning that every time you take that bow and that arrow, you are solving a problem. If it is either to protect, and so you're trying to hunt down the animal to protect your people, or you're trying to hunt down the animal so that you can eat, whichever one, it must consistently solve the problem that it was designed to solve. Now, the question would be for everyone on this call, have you been able to identify the kind of children that you have? Go into the chat room and say yes, no, on a journey. Do you know every child that you have in your care? So if you have 3 children, you cannot say, oh, this is the way I handle all my children. You can't handle all 3 children exactly the same way, because they are not exactly the same. Imagine you are trying to plant a cocoa tree or a cocoa seed in the same environment where rice seed is planted. No. A cocoa will likely take about 5 years to germinate. Your maize seed is ready in like 3 months, and your rice seed is ready in like 5 to 6 months. So while you're complaining, cocoa is not bringing out fruit, cocoa is too slow. Oh, cocoa is taking forever. Oh, cocoa, you are too stubborn. Is it not the same house of the Lord I'm bringing you all up? And you're complaining and comparing, forgetting that it's a process. Cocoa will thrive in a different environment from maize and from rice. So while you are comparing and trying to raise 3 different seeds in the same environment, then you're damaging one. I was just thinking recently about teachers, and then they say, oh, this particular child, so you have about 20 children in a classroom, and there is 1 teacher or maybe 2 teachers, right? And they begin to teach these children. And then they say, oh, one person, some people are doing very well, or some people are not doing very well. But the question I am asking is, the teacher who is teaching based on a particular template. Now, the template in which the teacher is teaching in is sufficient or is good enough for some kind of children who also learn in that way that the teacher is teaching. But the question is, what happens to the children whose style of learning is different from the teacher's style of teaching? And then we say, oh, they are not smart enough. Are we teaching them in the way, in their most preferred learning style? So for me, it looks like we are using one template to teach a group of children and expecting them all to come out the same way, forgetting that there is a style and a template that works for each child. So let's say the school system is not able to do that. You as a parent at home, you don't have 20. You probably have at most 4 or 5 or 6. There is a template that works for each child. And you cannot use template cocoa to raise template maize. You cannot use maize template to raise template rice. It wouldn't work. You would damage one of the children. I can see someone saying, oh, that's a concern. This is a really concern for me, teaching and different styles for each child. Exactly. But the question is for you as a parent, have you been able to identify what is best for your child? So the question is, how do you effectively parent in this generation? In the 21st century, number 1, discover the seed. And that is why I'm employing every parent on this call today. Do not leave this call without signing up for the new rules of parenting class. Do not. Do not. In the best interest of our children, because you will learn how to, identify all your seed. We would give you assessment that you will run on all your kids to be able to say, which one do I have here? Is this a cocoa seed? Is this a maize seed? What do I have? Discover the seed that you have. That's number one. I hope that you have your writing material. How do you parent in the 21st century? Number one, discover the seed. If you have 3 children, what kind of children do you have? Is it that your number 1 is the maize and your number 2 is the cocoa, who seems to be the slow one, and your number 3 is rice? Identify the kind of seed that you have, because that is the real war. You don't know the kind of children that you have. So a seed is given to you. How many of you right now, if I give you cocoa seed, you know what it looks like? Go to the chat room and tell me. If I give you cocoa seed right now, tell me that you know what it looks like. Yes, no, yes, no. Just go into the chat room and let me know. Oh, Monica says, I have no idea. Okay. No. So if I give you cocoa, some people know. Oh, yes, no. Princess said no. Joma, no. Okay, good. No, yes. So for people who say no, so imagine that I give you a cocoa seed, I give you a rice seed, I give you a maize seed, and I say, oh yeah, go and plant this. You know, you are likely going to go and plant that seed. You're going to plant all 3 seeds, maybe on the same soil, and try to groom them in the same environment. But do you think that they will all grow and produce the kind of fruits that you want? Fantastic. Andrew says, I even produce cocoa in my farm. So, and we have someone here who knows a lot about cocoa. So, Andrew, please tell us, are you able to produce or groom a cocoa seed in the same environment where you are planting rice? For people who are in rice farming, I hear that, oh, you need water, it has to be in a swampy place. You see, Andrew says no. But that's what we do as parents. So you have to consider the environment. So don't say, it's the same way I'm teaching all of you in this house. You can't teach them the same way. Oh, it's the same way of the Lord. It's not the same way I'm telling all of you to go. It doesn't work that way. They don't have to grow in the same environment because they are not the same seed. That's the challenge. You don't know the seed you have. So you're handling all the seed that you have in your hand like they are the same. What is the perceptual code that you have given to say every seed in this house or every child in this house is a royalty or every child in this house is a leader? Because until you're able to identify what the perceptual code is, you will raise these children anyhow. And you know how we talked about cocoa? To say you can't plant cocoa in the same environment, there's a scripting for it. So for cocoa, it might mean that, in fact, in the first 1 year, all you need to do is maybe just ignore when you plant. You might need to leave it, just ignore it because it's likely not even going to bring out anything. Or we have Andrew in the house that could probably tell us the process of growing cocoa. But it's definitely not the same. I remember, you all did that at one time where we'll plant maize or plant beans and we keep going there to go and check, growing up as a child. In 3 days, thereabouts, when you plant a maize or beans, you start seeing it start coming out and you're excited. But I'm sure that cocoa in 1 month is likely not even out at all. Please, for people who are saying I can't hear, you might want to check your audio, but if it is general for everyone, please let me know. Your number 1 job is to discover the seed. If you want to properly parent in the 21st century, discover the seed that you have in your hand. Because every misbehavior is either a non-discovery of self or a non-remembrance of self. Your child will misbehave when they don't know who they are. Your child will misbehave when they have forgotten who they are. So when we understand this, we will do all we can to ensure a child's identity and esteem is not compromised. Because if you begin to compare your cocoa seed with maize, the cocoa start feeling, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. Or maybe mommy does not love me. Have you not even heard your parents say, mommy, I think you love this person more than you love me? So there is a child that you will shout on. and he will just lock up and go and sit quietly in his room. He doesn't like the fact that you have shouted on him. And then you shout on another child. He's even unbothered. He's unbothered about your shout. So if you like, shout from now till tomorrow. He's not bothered. Please, if you have such children, go to the chat room and say, I do. That one that, regardless of your shouting, your screaming, is looking at you and wondering, hey, Aisha, yes, I do. He's not bothered. Not because the child is being disrespectful, but your shouting is not doing anything to the child. But you are aware that there's another child that small shouting or scolding, the child will withdraw and go and sit somewhere. So if you have that kind of child in your own house, say, me too. Me too. If your own child is the one that when you shout on that child is just going to stay and just go and sit quietly one place. So imagine that you want to raise the, so I can see people say, oh, my first child is the one where you're shouting, is not bothered. But my last child is the one that when you shout, you go. Imagine that you're raising these children up the same way. You will damage them. You need to be able to identify the kind of children that you have and be able to say, based on who this child is, this is how this child needs to be treated. And you don't use a general template to raise these children because they are not the same. Now, let me run you through the 4 different personality of the children that you have in your house right now. But this is not the intensive one. If you're coming for the new rules of parenting, we will give you an assessment where you are able to run the assessment to say, what child, so you're not guessing, oh, I think my child is the showman, or I think my child is the little boss. No, you are clear. You're running all the assessment on all your 3 children. You know what to do when they are angry. You know what to do, you know, when they need to get their power back, maybe they are stressed. You know what career area they are likely going to function better. It's a total breakdown of who that child is. So when you sit with this, like you are reading a manual. You know, when you buy a product, in fact, you're going to do what you call user's manual in the new rules of parenting. Because when we buy a product and then it comes with the manual, then the manual will tell you, oh, don't open here because it could get damaged. Don't put underwater. Don't. That's the same way you're going to be able to script your child. So much that even when you are not there, right? There are other people who you can give the document to and they can parent the way you would have because there is a template, there is a script to be used. So there are 4 types of children. Number 1 is the little boss. Let's pay attention so that you're able to identify which one. But here you're doing a guesswork to say, this one looks like my child. But in class, you run the assessment and you're able to know which one suits you. Not guesswork. Assessments would give you the data to say, this is who this child is, and this is how this child should be handled. The little boss says, it's such an honor to have a world changer like me in your family. And I need to let you know that I have so much power and energy to burn that it may seem I'm going to wear you out. I'm a natural leader and will question and break a lot of rules because I most times want to have my way. However, I will respond to you if you don't perceive me as proud and arrogant. Instead, you should see me as an emerging leader that must be groomed and whose spirit must not be broken. I will be involved in too many activities, but you must help me focus on my area of core strength. I'm competitive and always want to win. This is the kind of child that you say when you shout on, the child is unbothered about your shouting. If you like scream for money tonight, not because the child is rude, it's just not bothered by your shouting. He's a natural leader. This is the child who will question you, mommy, why? Stand up from there and come and sit here, and the child is wondering, why should I stand up from here? He's not rude, he's asking questions. But oftentimes, because we don't have answers, or we're thinking, who are you to be asking me a question? I did not ask my father those questions. Well, what year were you born? 18th century, 19. What, when? You're comparing with the 21st century child. Are you trying to raise a domesticated child to say, no, you can't ask questions? This child is a natural leader. That won't work for this child. The second one is the showman. I am the most judged and misconstrued child because people think I'm unserious and some think I'm not disciplined. But they all know they can't avoid me because I'm the life wire of the show. I love and learn best through play and fun, and whatever is monotonous and looks serious turns me off. I'm very impulsive and can sometimes overplay. As a matter of fact, I can hide my own work because of play and could forget where my shoes and socks are. I may start to pretend and lie if you're too hard on me. I may close up if you compare me with others. I have my own style of learning, and if you observe me carefully, you know my intelligence sometimes. Now, look at this child. This child is that child that you would ask to say, Junior, where's your homework on Friday? Junior says, I don't have homework. And you're happy. On Monday morning, you're driving Junior to school. Junior begins to cry. Why are you crying? Mrs. Lawal will beat me. Why would Mrs. Lawal beat you? Oh, I did not do my homework. But I asked you on Friday, totally, he forgot that he was giving home because he wanted to play. And as at that time you were asking him for his homework, he wasn't ready to go and do it. So he had to say, Mommy, don't worry, I'll do it later. Now, this is a child who wants to wear the colorful clothes. This child, he goes to a party. Everybody, could identify with this child. He gets into a room. A lot of people love him already. He's fun to be around. He's just jivey, playing, fun to be around. These two kids are who we call the extroverts. They get into a space. They are ready to vibe. They are ready to have fun. But you look at him and you say he's unserious. This is the kind of child who likely will be reading and has the assets on. And you're wondering, how can you be reading when you're listening to music? In fact, this kind of child could have the TV on, watching the TV, and is reading at the same time. And to you, you're thinking you can't be serious. But you know what? Ask that child what he has read. He will tell you what he has read. But for you, you think that child could not have learned. Don't forget that child learned in an environment of play. So imagine that you come into, this child is in a class with other people, very serious, don't share the same personality with him. He's likely jumping up and down. He's probably not listening to what the teacher is saying because the class is boring. There is no fun in what the teacher is teaching. Then you say he's dull, he's not smart. No, you're not teaching him the way he will understand what you're teaching. Your teaching is too boring. It had nothing to do with the child, but the process and the way you are teaching. The next child is the peacemaker. This one says, you know what? I'm not a natural leader like the other two, but I always finish what I start because I love to take things slow and steady. My strength is in thinking things through and could sometimes overdo that, but it is because I want to be sure of what I am about to do. I have my style, which is unique to me, so that I don't raise my hands or talk doesn't mean I don't know what I know. Once you accept and don't compare me with others, you will get the best out of me. I'm a loyal servant who loves to be there for others. My strength is to support, but you can be sure I'm a diplomatic leader who can keep things in order when there is need. So this child is not your typical jumping up and down kind of child. This child is calm. Is the one that when you are cooking in the kitchen, likely will come and sit with you and say, Mommy, it's trying to gist with you while you're cooking, or maybe you are washing the car, it's trying to assist you, slow and steady. For this kind of child, when you want to change their school, you need to inform them ahead of time because change is not something they take easy. When you want to change them, move them from one space to another or change their school, you need to have been having the conversation from time to time, help them see the reason why you're trying to do what you're doing with them or you're trying to change their school. They don't like trouble. So if a child outside had beaten them, and they know that when they come home to report to you, you will likely be angry to say, why did you allow somebody bully you? Why didn't you fight back? This child is likely not going to fight. He doesn't like trouble. He's a peacemaker. In fact, when you are beating his siblings, he's the one that is saying, Mommy, don't beat, peace. We can call them Baba Jeje. They don't like trouble. But they might not start things as fast as the other two, but be sure that when they start anything, they would see it through. Now, the last one is the CIA. This one says, I don't naturally share what I have with others, including you. So I want you to be my bestie at all times. So this is a child who will say, my daddy, my mommy, my cup, my chair, my mommy, tell your boy not to use my spoon. Everything is my. They are likely all over you, trying to, they call them gumbody. Some others will say, this my child is gumbody. This says, I really love my space and want others to respect my space. Now, this kind of child is the child that would come and report his siblings to you 1,001 times. Mommy, see, Junior jumped on my bed. Oh, Mommy, see, Junior is playing with my toy. They want you to tell your other children to maintain their space and not come into theirs. They like their peace. So this is the kind of child who's likely going to be locked up in his room. And you are wondering, he's not mingling like the other. I don't know what is happening. Maybe something is wrong with him. Nothing is wrong with him. It's just his personality. He likes his space. And he wants every other person to respect his space. And this kind of child, when other children are playing and talking too much, and even you, it is disturbing him. He just wants his peace. He wants his space. He wants that calmness. He says, I can't stand untidy people. So just do people, I can't stand untidy people who just do things anyhow. So you will do best to want everyone else to take care of their space and spot. I also don't respond to commands that doesn't follow logical reasoning. So be prepared for my numerous questions because I always want to know why we do what we do. I'm very neat and accurate, and you will surely be proud of me if only you don't allow a world that seeks to label a child mess up my esteem. This child wants to take his time. When he's dressing up for school or for church, this child takes his time. He's taking his time to comb his hair. He's cleaning his shoe. He wants everything perfect. To call them the perfectionist. He wants everything done thoroughly. He's writing his homework. If there is an error, he's cleaning up the error. Very detailed. Now, this kind of child is one that we have all planned, though we want to do a surprise party for mommy. And we have all agreed that we're not going to tell mommy. This is the child that will likely go and tell mommy and say, mommy, you know, we're planning a surprise party for you, but they say we should not tell you. So mommy, act like you are not aware that we're planning this thing for you. Yes, I think I can see someone in the chat room saying that can they have more than? Yes, you can. You can have a combination of the peacemaker and the CIA. Yes, you can also have a combination of the little boss and the other guy. And the showman. Yes, you can see more than one personality. So when you come to class and you take the assessment for the personality, we have the dominant personality. So your child would have one that is dominant personality. Then there will be another one that is a complementary personality. Then you have the developing personality and the underdeveloped personality. So for the 4, you will see where your child lies. So when you do the assessment, you're able to see, oh, my child's dominant personality is the peacemaker. Oh, the complementary personality is the CIA. Okay, the one that is developing is maybe the showman, and the one that is underdeveloped, right, is maybe the first one, the little boss. So during the assessment, you're able to identify exactly which one your child falls in. I hope I still have more time, but I'm going to quickly run. So understanding your child's personality traits and tendencies and risk factor is key in creating a communication strategy for that child. So imagine that you do not know the personality type of your child. It means that you are going to handle them the same way and you're not going to get the same results. And you're going to be wondering why one child is turning out well, because you are raising that child with a template that the child understands, with a template that is in alignment with that child. But the other one is suffering because you are not even sure who that child is. Number 2, become the right handler of the seed. Become the right handler. There is so much to this number 2, but I have to quickly run through it. You need to know what your roles are. When your child is between age 0 to 3, you are a scout. You are paying attention. What kind of child do I have? 6 months, you are checking. 1 year, you are paying attention. And that's why you see mothers say, oh, I have breastfed this baby and this baby is still crying. It means maybe this baby wants to sleep. So even you who don't know the child, you say, oh, mommy, come and breastfeed this baby. This baby is crying. They will tell you, no, he's trying to sleep, because they observe, they have learned what the child wants at the different times. The kind of cry or the way the baby behaves, they know, oh, this is what this child wants. I know some people will say this minute my daughter starts saying, mommy, I'm not feeling well, I have a headache, my tummy is paining me, that child is likely hungry. So what they do is they quickly give the child food, because they know that the food, solves the problem. And every time the child has eaten, the child is fine. What are your roles as the handler of that child? Do you know? Age 0 to 3, what did you observe about your child? Because from 4 to 6, you begin to role model. You are a role model to that child. You begin to lead and the child will follow. You want the child to clean up their room after them, you do the same. You want your child to take their plate to the kitchen after meal. When you are done, you do it. They would learn from how you behave. Don't say, do as I say. No, they will do as you do. They are observing. They are looking at you. A mother says, oh, my child is very aggressive. She shouts on everyone. And I'm asking, somebody is modeling it in the house. She said, no, nobody's like that. So think about it where I say, well, it's just my husband who likes to shout. Somebody modeled it. There was another child who went to school beating everybody. For every little mistake, you step on him, he will punch you, you do this. And I was asking, I said, there must be somebody that this boy is modeling this after. The mother says, no. So I engaged the boy, and the boy says, my father says that if people misbehave, you undo them. you know what? He has seen the father beat the mother at home. So the father, in order to justify his action, has told the boy that, see, when women misbehave, we handle them. So this boy goes to school. A girl borrowed his pen, misplaced it, and he beat the child so much that the girl was rushed to the hospital. He had seen it happen at home. You're modeling something. So look at what your relationship is right now. Look at the kind of environment you are raising your children, and look, your children are learning. So when I hear people say, oh, I'm just managing this environment, because you can't be managing, you need to be able to work on it. So if there's something that needs to be fixed in your marriage, in your home, get help. Reach out to the admin, say, oh, please, I need coaching. Oh, I need counseling. Me and my husband, we need to come, because your children are learning. Husbands, how you treat your wife, your boys are watching, your girls are watching. Then number 3, the next one is, from age 7 to 9, you're an instructor. Now, don't forget that you have modeled something. You have taught them how to clean up after themselves. When you come back from work, you're always going to the bedroom to shower, and you explain the reason why you do that. When they come from school and they know that every time mommy comes back home from work, mommy is always going to the bedroom to shower, they will do the same, because you have modeled it. Now, peradventure, they have not modeled everything that you have taught them from age 4 to 6. By 7 to 9, you begin to instruct them. Oh, now you go and do this. No, you go and do that. Because at that time, you must have modeled something before you begin to instruct. Because by the time you are giving instruction, your children are looking at you. Why? Why should I? They are wondering why they should do what you. So mommy says, I don't want anybody to litter my parlor. I don't want your school bags in the living room. But mommy, you come back from school and you drop your bag in the living room. You come back from work and you drop your shoes in the living room. And then you tell the children that they are not allowed to do that. What you are teaching them is, as children, they must abide by rules. But when they grow up, they are above the law. They are above the rule. And then we insult our politicians and say, oh, these people are bigger than the law. But we're doing exactly the same in our homes. The next one is, age 10 to 12, you are your child's friend. I won't stay here to debate whether I should be my child's friend or not. I usually would tell parents, do what works. It's okay. Don't be friends with your child. It's fine. Why do you think that children are very concerned when someone tells them, I don't want to be your friend again? Do you see how much they cry? In fact, sometimes they come back home and be telling you, oh, mommy, Joy says she doesn't want to be my friend again. Or mommy, Kunle says she doesn't want to be my friend. And you're wondering on friendship. They value friendship at that phase of their life. I'm not saying now be bestie, wear the same clothes and do whatever with your children. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you need to learn to be friends. Maybe first of all, we need to go and check. What does it mean to be someone's friend? Even your partner, you're not friends with them. Are some of us not friends with our parents? Have you realized that there is somebody in your house that when you get on, in fact, you don't even remember, you have father, you have mother. Some of us you hardly call your father because there's nothing to talk about. You're not friends with them. But you have your mother where you can talk almost all day. And some people, reverse is the case. They will stay on a longer call with their father because they have built that relationship and they've not with their mother. So when they get married and they're out of your house and they're saying they don't even keep in touch, they don't remember because you guys were not friends. They don't have anything to say to you. They go to school, they come back, they have nothing to say to you because they're not friends. They have seen you. Mommy is just my parent and she just gives instruction. Mine is to follow. Age 13 to 18, you're a coach. I think that's self-explanatory. Take a look at this casting and ask yourself, in which of this role have I defaulted? Which one have I done? Which one have I missed? Which one am I not paying attention to? You are coaching that child based on what you have modeled. Don't forget that you have observed the child from age 0 to 3. And you have modeled something and you have instructed something. Now you have bonded with your child from 10 to 12. Because that's one of the things that I see missing in parenting these days. Oh, my child doesn't say anything to me. How? As a parent, you know when parents say, I have a very close relationship with my children. See, that you are their mother or that you are the father does not automatically make you close to them. My child talks to me. They say to you what they want you to know. The question is, are they saying all there is to know? But if it doesn't bother you to know everything or what is happening in the life of your child that you're even able to help, it's okay. But You don't want your child to feel like there is somebody out there who loves them more than you do. I hope you all are still following me. If yes, please go into the chat room and tell me yes, yes, yes. Let me know who is still with me on this call. Yes, yes, yes. Fantastic. So we're still together. Number 3 is create the right environment through intentional family systems. Now, I can't go deeply into this because there are about 7 of the systems that you need to create for your family, right? But if you sign up for the new rules of parenting, they will take time to explain all the systems, give you a template on how to create one. You know why? There is no school equal to a decent home. No school. No matter how amazing the school is, there is no school equal to a decent home. And no teacher equal to a virtuous parent. You say, let it not be that your child feels that my teacher loves me more than my mommy loves me. Let it not be that the child is more comfortable in school than the child is comfortable at home. Someone who says, oh, one of the icons I love is Mahatma Gandhi, right? Look at what he said. There is no school equal to a decent home and no teacher equal to a virtuous parent. So the question is, are you a virtuous parent? Now look at the systems we're talking about: the governance system, the communication system, the family educational system, the family economic system, the domestic management system, the entertainment and recreational system, security system, the family health care and wellness system. Because the potential of a child is at risk when the right environment is not created. Now, all of this system, we can't talk about it fully here, but if you sign up for the new rules of parenting, you would get details about each of these systems and you're able to create it for your family. Now look at it. What is your child susceptible to at age 18 months to 3 years? Touch. And that is when you want to begin to teach them about my body, me and my body. Tell them, oh, this is your breast, oh, my mouth. And I don't say, oh, they are too young. Teach them, because that young age is when people, the predators we have around the world begin to touch them. So you want to teach them. From when they're about 4 to 6, right? They want to begin to keep secrets. And someone is likely grooming, telling them an idea that might not be in alignment with what your family values are. And these children are curious at this age. And that is why within this age is where you are a teacher, you are a model and a friend. Because you want to know what is happening. Who is telling them? So who has told you something and says, don't tell mommy? You want to find out, because people who would abuse your children will first of all teach your child secrecy. From 7 to 9, oh, we're dealing with porn, we're dealing with suicide, we're dealing with same sex. And in our office, Fowowe International, when parents come in and say, oh, my child, he doesn't know, and I'm wondering, oh, my own child don't teach these children early enough, they don't know anything. They know so much more than you think they know. It is better for you to teach them. I will say this carefully, before you teach your child anything, understand what your child knows about the topic you're trying to teach the child. What does my child know about this topic that I'm trying to teach this child? Very, very important. Lest you are thinking your child does not know. In fact, I said this in class one day, and one parent say, oh, I don't think my child knows anything about sex. I'm not even sure I want to have the conversation yet. And because if I have the conversation now, it could, maybe raise curiosity in her. And I don't know, she just said she wasn't going to. It's okay. But one day, I think she just heard this. She saw a news online. She panicked and she was like, let me even try and ask my daughter. And she said when she asked her daughter what her daughter knew about sex, by the time the girl was explaining, she said she was shocked. She came back and said, I did not know that my daughter knew half of what she was talking about. In fact, there are some things that my daughter said that I am surprised. Motolani, this girl is 8. I said, well, I thought you said she was too young. Say, I did not know. And then the question begins, so how am I supposed to start having this conversation? Because you are thinking that your child does not know. Don't forget that they go to school in school buses. They have classmates. You are not the one parenting your child, though. You are not parenting that child alone. Social media is parenting the child. The screen that you allow them stay in front, the cartoons they watch, is parenting the child. The people they spend most time with in school, in our religious houses, a lot of things are helping you parent that child. The question is, who would have the upper hand? And 10 to 12, of course, they're on their screen, AI, esteem issues is coming in here, peer pressure, and of course, for 13 to 16 or 18 upward, they're trying to try out almost everything because they want freedom at this point. When a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. If you agree with this statement, go into the chat room and say, I do. I do. I do. I do. Let me see. When a flower doesn't bloom, what do you fix? When it looks like your child is not blooming like you wanted, are you trying to fix the child or you're fixing the environment? Very important. When a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. Oh, my child is lying. Are you giving the child an environment to say the truth? What are the behaviors that you have seen in your child? What environment have you created for that child? Number 4, troubleshoot your seed. Troubleshoot your seed. There is no point in releasing a product that hasn't been tested. Temptation is the example that reveals our mastery of a concept. So if you tell your children, when you go out and people give you food, don't collect it. You have taught them. You need to be able to set up your examiners. You need to be able to create scenarios. You need to ensure you give feedbacks. You are mentoring to mastery. You are not judging. So if you send your children out and they go and you need to send someone to say, please, I have told my children that every time they go out, they shouldn't take food from anyone without telling me that, oh, somebody gave me this before eating it. And then you send your sister or send a family member and say, give them something and let me see if they would tell me. Now, if your children ate that thing without telling you, it's not for you to judge. It means that they have not mastered what you are teaching them. So you will do what? You will teach them again. You will reinforce it. And then you set another examination. And examinations are to test if you have mastered what you have learned. But how many of us set examination for our children? I don't mean the kind of exam they do in school. I am teaching my child to be respectful. I am teaching my child to be kind. Set up scenarios, create scenarios. And when you see that your child has not mastered what you are trying to teach them again. Don't beat them. Don't judge. And say, I've been teaching you since. Are there not things that even you as a parent, your partner has been trying to teach you since you have not mastered? Even, in fact, I used to joke about something. There are some things that growing up as a child, my mother would say, see this behavior, you will follow it to your husband's house. Say, I'm in my husband's house. Those behaviors followed me there. And some of us are like that. So create scenarios. Let it be that what you're teaching the child has been mastered. Then release the seed. Because that child is not your own. God gave that child to you. So don't clamp, don't hold on to the child and say, oh, it's my child. You are just the handler of the child. And the greatest joy of every parent must be seeing a child become the best version of himself and not a clone of his parent, while serving his gifts to his world in service to God and to humanity. Stop trying to clone yourself in your children. Stop trying to impose on your children what you are not able to do. No. Observe who that child is. Pay attention to who the child is. What are the things that you have paid attention to? What are the things that you have observed in your child? Don't make your children to be like you. They are not you. Don't try to say, oh, I was trying to be a medical doctor, but something happened. You were not able to read 8 straight hours. Now you want the child to read. How? So you wanted to be a pilot, but maybe your parents didn't have money to send you to school. So you now picked up another job. Now you have the money. You are insisting. Who told you your child likes to fly? Your child is saying, Mommy, I don't like height. You are saying, no, that's the more reason why you need to learn to be a pilot so that you can overcome the fear of heights. Daddy and Mommy, don't clone yourself. Every opportunity must be used to reintroduce your child to who he or she truly is. And that's why we talked about perceptual code. Is your child a royalty, a diplomat, an icon, a celebrity? What's one word? Describe every child in your home. When you come to class, you are able to do this. It takes 21 right words to nullify every wrong word. So be careful the choice of words that you use on your children. Being a good parent requires knowing when to push and when to back off, when to help and when to let them make mistakes, and then being strong enough to watch them go. And that is why you see parents, when their kids are going to school, they are crying, will this child be fine? Would they not bully him? Can this child take care of himself? You need to prepare the child before that stage. Children are not things to be molded. I'm going to say that again. Children are not things to be molded. Okay, someone is saying I'm freezing. Can you still hear me? Please, if you all can hear me, go into the chat room and say, yes, I can. Yes, yes. Let me know if it's my connecting. Okay, so people can hear me. Please check if you cannot hear me. It could be your network. Children are not things to be molded, but people to be unfolded. The question is, are you unfolding or you are trying to mold? Are you unfolding or you are trying to mold? If you are trying to mold your child, do you even know what the child should be molded into? Oftentimes when we are trying to mold, we are trying to mold into us, a mini us, an improved version of us. But no, you're supposed to pay attention to who the child is and learn, unfold every day. You know, sometimes you look at your child and say, when does this behavior start again? I did not know that you are like this. In fact, there's some things that your children can do that you don't even know that they can. And when you pay attention in your conversations with them, you are able to know, oh, my child, you have ability to do this. So the question would be to you is, are you molding your children or you are unfolding them? Go into the chat room and tell me, I have been molding, or yes, I have been unfolding. Which one have you been doing? Molding or unfolding? Go into the chat room and let me know. Okay, you'll be molding, 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 molding. Okay, both unfolding, molding, molding. It's important. You cannot mold. What do you even know that you are molding? What? And you know, even when to even mold requires skill. Do you even have the skill to mold? Let's even say, oh, you are trying to mold. Do you have the skills? Have you learned how? Because there is a skill to even molding. But your children are not things. You don't mold human beings. You unfold them. People are revealed to you to say, oh, this is who this child is. But time as they grow, as you are mentoring, as you are teaching, as you're observing, you begin to unfold and realize, oh, this is who my child is. Discipline is helping a child solve a problem. Now I'm coming to the end of this class. Almost there. Discipline is helping a child solve a problem. Punishment is making a child suffer for having a problem. To raise problem solvers, focus on solutions, not retribution. Now, I want to stop this and I want one person to tell me. You're going to unmute yourself. Tell me what you think about this statement. Discipline is helping a child solve a problem. Punishment is making a child suffer for having a problem. What do you think the balance is and what do you think? You can also drop your answer in the chat room, but I would like to see anybody. Maybe you could raise your hands. Let me see who wants to answer the question. Someone who wants to say, oh, let me say something about this. Anyone? Discipline is helping a child solve a problem. Punishment is making a child suffer for having a problem. Because you are going to now ask yourself as a parent, which one have I been doing? Which one have I been doing? When I say I am trying to discipline my child, am I trying to help my child solve a problem that I have observed? So this child doesn't like to shower. Oh, this child lies. Oh, this child is hooked on a screen. Discipline means you are trying to help the child solve that problem. But look at the definition of punishment. Punishment is making a child suffer for having a problem. So parents, I want to see your chat. I want you all to go into the chat room and tell me. I'm going to stop sharing now. I'm not done, so don't leave yet. Go into the chat room and tell me which one you have been doing. Have you been helping your child solve a problem? Have you been punishing, or you have actually been disciplining the child? Go into the chat room. I want to see. Go into the chat room and let me see. Discipline. So this is to help us reflect. What have we been doing with our children? And you see, when I tell people parenting education is very important, it's not because, oh, we're trying to cajole you, or come and take classes, or come. It's for the benefit of the children that you are raising. The better you know, the better for the world. Let me see what people are saying in the chat room. Both, but more of punishment. Both, more of punishment. Both. Oh, punishment. We can do better. The whole essence of this class, of this webinar, is to help us do better on our parenting journey, to help us do way better. And that's why I'm telling every parent here, save for it. Join the next cohort, new rules of parenting. It is important for the development of your children. New rules of parenting, it starts next month, 6th to 27th of November. The classes hold every Wednesday, 7 p.m. So you're back from class, and peradventure you miss any class whatsoever, you're able to join the class. You're saying, I don't want to punish my children anymore. I want to discipline them, but I don't know how. Come to class. The answer is here. It's 4 weeks exclusive program on navigating parenting challenges. It's just 150,000 Naira only. And it's virtual, just like this. So if you learned so much through this free webinar, imagine what 4 weeks in class would be. 4 weeks with super coaches who would hold your hands and help you on this parenting journey. I think that this brings me to the end of this class, and you can reach us on the details on the screen. However, I'm going to go back and put this so that you all can see. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer your question. Although we have limited time, I apologize. Like I said, I am interested in helping every parent do better on their parenting journey. Do not forget what I started with. No child is safe until every child is safe. So we all need to go back to community parenting. So someone is asking, how best do we discipline? When you come to class and you understand the personality of your child, then you are able to create the discipline that helps that child get the best out of the child. You're able to create a template that helps you change the behavior that you do not like in your child. Like I said, look at the little boss, and let's compare to the peacemaker. So if you are trying to discipline a child, meaning you are trying to help the child get better at something, the way you do for the little boss is not the same way you would do to the peacemaker. But when you're not even sure what your child's personality is, how are you able to help? But when you are in class, you're given the template. Like, you have the document in your hands every day. Even in fact, when you leave the class and you forget, you will go back, right? And you are able to say, oh, this is my child's, it's like you have a manual, you have a handbook, or a workbook to say, oh, this is the personality of this child. Okay, so when I see a behavior in this child that I do not understand, this is how I am going to do it. If we have any questions, admin, I'm not sure if you have collated questions, or I will just hand over to Coach Joy, so that if there are questions that are being collated, I can take them up. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. But please ensure that you do not miss taking this class. Do not, please.
Thank you so much for that, Coach Motolani. That was really, really insightful. I'm sure a lot of us had a lot of light bulb moments. I've been going through the charts and I've been seeing the parents' feedback and their realization. Let me just take a few questions that came into the chat box. So this person is asking, she says, for a single mother who has missed all these in parenting and the child is 14 years old, please, what can be done?
What can be done is to try to bond with the child. So have a conversation with this child. This child is 14. Sit with the child and say, see, I just went to a class and I learned that I haven't done the best that I should be doing with you. However, I want us to start all over. I want us to start again. What is it that I do that you don't like? What is it that you want me to improve on? What is it that you need me to stop doing? Bond and be friends with the child again. Yes, you have missed all of this, but you can. I'm not saying it's going to happen in 1 week, 2 weeks, because at first the child is suspecting you. What does mommy want? Why is she being nice? And if you were in their shoes, you will feel the same. So give them time. But you can also have that conversation. And of course, watch your reaction when they tell you things, because they want to be sure that you can handle the things that they will be telling you. So if they come tell you, oh, mommy, something happened in class, and you say, no, how you react to these things also would determine whether they can come back to you. But at 14, I wouldn't say it's late, and that you're doing it alone also doesn't make it bad, but you can start by having a conversation with the child. Create a me time with the child where you're talking. What can I do better? What have I been doing that you think, mommy, if I improve on this? Just be friends with the child. You will learn how best to handle that child. And of course, if you come to class, you're given the template to be able to properly script that child for success.
All right. So I would not, thank you so much, ma'am. I won't repeat the questions that are a bit similar to this, but this person is asking regarding a young adult. So means that, okay, I've passed this stage of the coach, the friend. How can we now correct these abnormalities in a young adult?
Can you repeat the question again? Because it looks similar to what I just answered. Or did I miss something?
So, you gave a template from ages 0 to 18 years. And this parent is feeling, okay, well, my child is no longer in this age range. My child is maybe like 20, 23. What is there anything that can be done for that particular adult?
The same template to what I just said. You want to have a conversation, because what you have done, your report card is what you're saying. To say, I don't like what it is right now with what I'm seeing with my kids, so we're not close. Can you start bridging the gap? To say, you're just calling to check in with the child. Of course, like I said earlier, the child will begin to suspect. What does mommy want? Mommy, are you dying? I've heard a child telling them, so that you're calling me and checking and trying to be friends. Mommy, what's happening? Have you discovered that you're dying and you're trying to do this? Mommy, please don't die on us and all. You want to bridge the gap. You want to begin to just let them know. Sometimes you will need to apologize, because sometimes the reason why they are not even connecting with you is because of some things that you have done while you are raising them up. Some children are hurting from the way you have raised them. You want to apologize and say, I did not know better. I did the best that I can with knowledge that was available to me. However, I want to do better. How can we bridge this relationship? Communication solves the problem. But
okay, so
it will not come easy. It will take a while, but keep at it.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll just take 2 more questions, then I would allow one person to give a feedback, then we call it a night. But someone is asking, please, what can we do if your child collects food from a neighbor in your presence after you have warned them not to eat outside? And the neighbor is like, please don't beat her.
Like we said earlier, your job is not to, what you should be doing is to test. I said, don't judge the child. What just happened is your child has not mastered what you have taught him or her. The child has not mastered it. So it means that when you get back home, if you beat the child, you're just instilling fear into the child. So it means when you are not there, right, the child would collect food. When you are there, the child will not. No, you don't want to raise an hypocrite. It is important that you do not judge. What that simply tells you is that your child has not mastered what you have taught him. So you want to go back home and tell them the reason why. So I have a child who is always putting her hands in her mouth. The mother said I'd beaten her. I have tied things on her hand. And one day, she's about 6, I had a conversation with her. And I said, you know, are you aware that there are germs in our hands and under our nails? And when they get into our body, they could make us sick. And I was just, and you know, she was looking at me like, okay, she's just I don't see her all the time, right? And when I said that, she took her hands off the mouth, like, oh, really? So there are germs in my hand? I say, yes, you know, there are germs everywhere. So you've touched the rails now, you've touched the chair, I painted the cases, and she saw it. And after about 30 minutes or thereabouts, I saw this girl putting her hands back in the mouth. She has forgotten. But the minute she saw me, she removed the hand again. Now, you know what the mother says. So I was checking with the mother to say what happened. She says, my daughter could just be at home forgotten, and her hands is in her mouth. And then suddenly you will see her just taking it off. Every time she takes it off, when she remembers what is being told her. So what you want to do is to reinforce what you're teaching till the child masters it. Reinforce the learnings. They would master it. Give them time and do not judge.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. This question says, how do you handle constant corrections on a particular thing that haven't been followed at age 10 and 8?
Say that again, please.
How do you handle constant corrections on a particular thing that haven't been followed at ages 10 and 8?
So you mean that you have been teaching this child something and the child has not mastered it? So the question would be that, how are you teaching the child? Are you teaching a peacemaker in a boss lady, the little boss way? Did you understand the personality of the child? Could it be that the child, so there are different things. Number one, it could be that you have not. So if you are teaching a typical little boss, right? What we call the intimidating normal or creative convertible, you have not given them the reason why you want them to do that thing. You will keep repeating yourself because they've not seen a reason why they should do what you're asking them to do. It's not because they're trying to be indisciplined or they're trying to be rude. It is because they don't understand the why. Don't forget that these people are natural leaders. They just don't follow everybody's instruction because, oh, I'm the mother, or it's my mother that said it, or my father said it. They're logical. They have not been able to reason with you why they should do what you're asking them to do. So you might want to have a conversation with them. So if the issue is, oh, they don't shower all the time, you want to sit with them. Let's talk. Why is it that they don't want to shower? Is it because the water is too cold? Is it because why? But if you don't sit with them, you wouldn't know what the challenge is. And if you do not understand the personality of the child, you will not know what works. So most importantly, sign up for the new rules of parenting. Get the full details of how or who your child is. That helps you understand. Okay, so my child is a typical intimidating Oma, or my child is a systematic fraud, right? Based on the 4 different personalities that I shared in class, because how you give instructions to all 4 of them differs. So if you have been giving them instruction based on how you know to give instruction, they just might not have heard everything that you have been saying. Even though you have been saying it for 2 years, they just did not hear. So getting to understand who they are and what style works for them would help you solve the problem.
Thank you, ma'am, for that. So I'm just going to, before I go to the next question, I have some people that are asking, can we get the recorded version of this webinar? Yes, it's possible because we're also streaming to our YouTube page. So after this webinar on Zoom, you can get the replay on YouTube. So moving back to the question, this particular question says, so basically this person is asking, can you give an example to explain the difference between discipline and punishment? So they want a concrete example.
Let me share what I shared earlier, and then we're going to analyze this together. Okay. It says discipline is helping a child solve a problem. Now give me a problem you're trying to help your child solve. Is the parent on this call? Can you give me a...
From YouTube, that was a question from YouTube.
Okay, I'm looking for something that it's relatable for every parent. So can anyone on this call give me a problem that you're trying to help your child solve? Give me one, give me one. Laziness. So someone says laziness. Discipline is helping my child to stop being lazy. So if you are trying to help your child to stop being lazy, what do? Then being lazy at what? Because a typical example, I remember a mother of a teenager says, my daughter is a very lazy girl. She doesn't like to wash plates. And that's why she tagged the girl lazy. But this same girl that you call lazy can read for 8 hours. Do you think that girl is lazy? She's in medical school and can read for 8 hours at a go. But she doesn't like to watch, she doesn't like to do the dishes. Now, this same girl who you have tagged lazy, because you know how parents just label children. And that's what one of the challenges that I have observed with African parents especially. We label. That your child lies doesn't make your child a liar. You want to find out, why is the child lying? So discipline is helping that child solve a problem, right? To say, why is it that this child doesn't like to do the dishes? This child might say, Mommy, it takes time for me to do this when I have other things I want to do. You know how we're growing up, and sometimes I like to do the dishes, I like to wash, but I don't like to sweep. And I don't like to rearrange the house. But I like to do the dishes and I like to wash, anything that has to do with water. And you would agree with me in the chat room that growing up, we had a specific house chores that we like. Some people don't have a problem with sweeping the house or rearranging the house, but they have a problem with washing plates and washing their clothes. It's a challenge. So discipline is you helping the child understand why they have a problem with what you tag as a problem. Why is my child lying? My child doesn't want to be punished. My child doesn't want pain inflicted on him. Is why he has lied to me. Now, how do you solve the problem? Is to say, every time you've done something wrong, forget whether I am going to teaching the child that for bad behavior have consequences, good behaviors have reward. And let it be that beforehand, the consequence for every bad behavior has been discussed. To say, if you don't do this, this is the consequence for what you have not done. But every time your child says, oh, mommy, so if you say, when you come back from school, you need to do your dishes and do your homework before you watch cartoon, and your child forgot, and you go back from work and you're asking the child, did you do your homework and did you do the dishes before watching cartoon? And the child lied. The child lied because they are trying to avoid the punishment that comes with it, the pain that comes with it. If they tell you the truth, would you go ahead and punish them or inflict pain on them? You are finding solution. So if you say my child lies, why is your child lying? Could it be that your child is scared of how you will react? If you say my child is, I hear someone says my child is stubborn. Could it be that your child is stubborn? You are the one labeling the child as stubborn. Could it be that you have an intimidating Oma as a child, the little boss, who wants to question why they should do what they should do, but you have labeled the child to be stubborn? Now, punishment is you just saying, oh, so you are lying again, and begin to beat the child for not saying the truth. Whereas you are not paying attention to why the child is not saying the truth in the first place. So let me go into the chat room and see if there is a problem that anyone is also trying to solve.
Someone mentioned bedwetting.
Now, your child is bedwetting. Do you think that your child intentionally just wants to bedwet? Disciplining that child is helping the child solve a problem. Can you watch? How does the child play close to bedtime? Does the child take a lot of water before bedtime? Do you want to watch? Then look at the intervals. When your child is going to bed, can you ensure they go pee? Maybe 1 hour or 2 hours after they've gone to bed, can you wake them up? And because it's difficult on the parent, you say, I can't go through that stress. So then you're not trying to discipline, you're not trying to help the child solve the problem. So you wake up at intervals. Check how many times does this child pee before morning? What time does this child pee before morning? So if this child goes to bed at say 10, and this child doesn't pee until 3, it means that from 2:30, I need to wake this child up to go and pee. But if you keep beating the child every day, you peed at home, you are just inflicting pain on the child. Punishment is you making the child suffer. Because no child will just say, I just feel like I just want to wet my bed. They're already embarrassed by the fact that they are wetting the bed. But you are punishing them for having a problem that they also are trying to solve. Or you don't think your children are embarrassed and they also want to solve the problem? So if you put system in place, ensure they don't eat late, they don't drink water that late, or when they are going to bed, they pee. The last thing they do before they go to bed is pee. And you are watching to check the timing in which they pee on their bed, and you are waking them up before that time. You have solved the problem and you're not inflicting pain on the child. So it's just you asking question as to this problem that I have observed with my child. See, the problem you're having with your child is like a weed. When you see a weed around your plant, is Andrew still on this call? Or do you have any farmer on this call? If you see a weed around your plant, do you uproot it anyhow, or you carefully take out the weed so that you don't damage your plants? Go to the chat room and let me see what you think. When you observe a weed beside your plant, do you take out the weed anyhow, or you carefully take it out because you don't want to damage your plants? That is what some of us parents do. We want to stop a behavior, but we are inflicting pain on the seed. We are doing the plant anyhow, whereas the weed is what you have a problem with. So you observe and carefully take out the weed without damaging your plant. That's what we're talking about. Don't damage your child because you have seen a problem or you have seen a behavior you don't like. The child is not the problem. The behavior is the problem. Focus on the behavior and help them solve that problem rather than attacking the plant. I think that answers the question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Unfortunately, we will not be able to take any more questions because our time is fast spent. But we want to encourage you. You've heard a lot. And truth is, there are some of the questions that are even in the chat box that cannot even be answered now. Some of you might need to go back and watch the replay. Some of you would need to actually have one-on-one sessions because the concerns that you have about your children are quite unique, and you need to understand, okay, is this a normal behavior? Because some of the things that we see as burdensome in children can be an unexpected behavior for that particular child's age. So those are questions and solutions that we can find when we attend the parenting course. Those are answers that we will get when we even, for those of us that we feel, okay, I may not be able to attend the entire parenting course, but try. You need to try because we are talking about parenting in this 21st century. Something must give in. Something has to give in. All right. If we are able to make sacrifices, there are some days, it's not every day we feel like going to work, but we still show up because we know what's at stake if we don't go to work. We risk getting queried. Also know what is at stake for your children if you do not show up for them as you need to. There's a lot at stake. There's a battle over their lives, over the way they will turn out. Because like she said, if you are not parenting your children alone, the world is also parenting. Social media is parenting them. Their friends are parenting them. No child is safe until every child is safe, because some children are coming with ideology. Some of them are not even, they're coming from households that some of their parents don't even really care about them. Some children are parenting themselves, and these are the same people that your children will sit together in classrooms with. You're not going to take them away. Even if you are able to, okay, you are able to put them in a bubble. They're in a class that, okay, maybe the school has tried. They're doing parenting education for the parents. What about when they go to the workplace? Or what about the people that are going to rule? Because somehow, we are going to interact with people that do not have ideas and beliefs, or that do not see things the way we do. So as much as possible, if we can thin that number down, it would save not just only your family and the future of your children, but even our society at large. And so that's why we're on that mission to make sure that no parent is left behind. From here down to the ends of the world, we are moving. So I encourage you, please sign up for the parenting class, and also encourage your friends, your school. I saw there was a question that came from a particular, she said she's a school owner, and the parent, she doesn't want to beat, but parents in her school are beating. that is the whole problem that we can't answer here. It's something that I think you should also get in touch with us, because we might need to help you understand how you can create systems for that particular school. All right. So thank you everyone for coming on this call. Remember, if you attended this webinar, the cost of the parenting class is 150,000 naira, but you can pay 130,000 naira. All right, just for attending this webinar. However, if you want to pay in installment, you can pay 75,000 naira 2 times, but there is no discount for paying in installment. The discount is for only paying once, which is the 130,000 naira. So thank you all for joining. Please reach out to us on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever. Don't do parenting alone. Get on board. We have trained and seasoned parent coaches, adolescent coaches that are able to hold your hands together, because this is a journey you shouldn't take alone. Everybody, thank you. My name is Joy Essien, signing out, and I wish you a lovely, lovely week ahead.
Thank you, Coach Joy. Thank you, everyone who joined in. I cannot wait to see you in class. I want you all to succeed on this parenting journey. And yes, I can't wait to see you. For people who are saying, this payment, does it cover for only me, or me and my partner needs to pay? Yes, one payment cover for you and your partner. You can come in together and create a template that works for your family. All right, people, you have a wonderful night rest or a beautiful day, depending on where you're joining us from.